My dear people, how na day? This is now your host, Cousin Wey No Get Name, aka Eziafa, aka Orukogidi. And this is the show, Wey No Get Name. When I welcome I'm gonna jump right to it. We don't get time today because it's not the best days for laugh. Many things that happen around the world, all the story way they around. We consign our people in Nigeria. It plenty of. But let me give you all a slice, a piece. Well, the first story where I want yarn now, the story of some Nigerian brothers we don't plead guilty for sexual extortion, and as a result of this matter, person can die by suicide. And the brothers' name are Samuel and Samson Ogoshi, and they constantly work together with one third person, Ezekiel Roberts, and that one now in the fight they won't carry him from Nigeria come America because the American person died by suicide. In other words, then carry, I don't know what's happened for internet, but the person the content are making share in nude picture, when naked, may his soul rest in peace. In name na Dime Jordan, if I'm getting that right. I hope so. They call him well. It's a very painful story, and I think it's been coming since 2021. And yes, the victim's name was Jordan Dime. May his soul rest in peace. He died by suicide in 2022. So I play in a small thing from the they call him now, the prosecuting team, as they interview him, as the Nigerian brothers plead guilty.
So today, Samuel and Samson Ogashi, who are both defendants in the case that we have been prosecuting for several months now, pleaded guilty to the crime of conspiring to sexually exploit a child. The judge accepted that guilty plea, pronounced them guilty, and the next step for these two defendants will be sentencing. We anticipate that will be sometime in the next 4 to 6 months, although we don't have a specific date at this time.
And why did you decide to offer a plea agreement and not take this to trial?
There's lots of reasons why we decide to settle cases with plea agreements. Well over 90%, over 95% of all cases do end in plea agreements. Don't typically go into the reasons why, but there's certainly lots of reasons. And one thing I think is obvious is it gives us certainty about where we're headed. The sentence to which both of the Ogashi brothers pleaded guilty has a minimum penalty of 15 years in prison and a maximum of 30 years. And it will finally be up to the judge at sentencing to decide what is the appropriate sentence.
And this is a first of its kind case, so first of its kind plea and plea agreement. What kind of a precedent are you hoping this sets for future situations like this?
I think today represents an extraordinary step forward. In this case and in law enforcement efforts really around the United States to combat this rising tide of sextortion crimes that we've been seeing all over. It sends a message to criminals in Nigeria and really to criminals in every corner of the globe that they're not immune, that they can't get away with doing this, that we can find them and we can secure justice. And so I don't want to miss the importance of today. This really is quite a significant step forward.
And not just the criminals out there that are potentially doing this stuff, but you hear from so many victims of not necessarily so horrendous as we see here, but people who think the money's just gone, my dignity is gone.
So as soon as I hear him, as soon as I hear him, there was in there the clap for. The man talks all the criminals within Nigeria. So they figure to now. And later on, he talks FBI work with them and Nigerian law enforcement. So saying they commend Nigerian law enforcement as they help for the matter. Okay, we move on. I hope so not hear them because the audio they very faint. Furthermore, the Nigerian police they've reviewed plans. As Bobrisky don't set precedents, they want to pursue all the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer. And they call LGBTQ. So they are going to be chasing them around now because it's against the constitution. So me wanna be careful because for 2014, then President Goodluck Jonathan passed bill where outlaw gay relationships and same-sex marriages. And anyone convicted of involvement in a gay relationship or entering into a same-sex marriage contract or civil union faces up to 14 years in jail. They say it is a crime to have a meeting of homosexuals or to operate or attend the gay club, society, or organization. Public show of intimate same-sex affection is also outlawed, while offenders risk 10 years in jail. Who know here? May they hear, they say it is punishable by law. Not be me talk, the Nigerian police force. Alright? We move on to the next matter with the ground. The talk say about 10 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, with the mag anniversary of the Chibok girls were then kidnapped. Now wow, time don't pass. 10 years already. So therefore, they are now having to do a film regarding this tragedy and ongoing fight for the safe return of our girls. 10 years has just gone like that. Ninja. Okay. It is well. And for one Nigerian family, freedom after kidnapping hasn't ended their terror. Make we listen. I hope this one go play.
Thanks for listening to State of the World from NPR. We bring you the day's most vital international stories up close where they're happening. It's Wednesday, March 25th. I'm Greg Dixon. Kidnapping for ransom is out of control in Nigeria. Islamic insurgents in the north or other heavily armed groups regularly snatch individuals, families, or even larger groups. Then they demand a ransom to set them free. Recently, more than 130 children were released after a mass kidnapping at a school in northwest Nigeria. But this was a brief moment of good news amidst the constant threat of kidnapping, as it becomes more and more common in parts of Nigeria. NPR's Emmanuel Akinwotu has been following the story of one family whose lives have been turned upside down by the kidnapping for ransom epidemic. And just so you know, there will be some descriptions of violence in this story.
Traders haul wheelbarrows of fresh sugarcane and weave through pedestrians and motorbikes at a busy market in Buari. This is a gently bustling commercial town surrounded by rocky hills and acres of countryside, just 40 miles north of the capital, Abuja. But the town is no longer at ease. Military tanks have been stationed here for months, while police convoys patrol the streets. The grief of one family in Buari explains why. We're not using their real names as they're afraid of being identified by the kidnappers who've abducted their 4 sons, the eldest 24 and the youngest just 12 years old. We met the family in January at the start of their ordeal and have followed their story for the last few months. The father speaks in Hausa and explains how just after the new year, about 20 men armed with AK-47s and machetes attacked their home around midnight.
They forced the gate open, went to the children's room and broke the window. And from the window, they pointed their gun to them and told them to open the door or they will shoot them.
They dragged him and his 4 sons outside, tied their hands, and beat them with the back of their guns and with the flat side of their machetes. Then they led them away along with other victims, marching them bare feet for almost 10 hours. They were taken to a forest that spans central and northwest Nigeria that's become a haven for hundreds of armed groups called bandits at large in the region. They demanded $3,500 in ransom, the equivalent of about 3 years of the family's income. Then they released the father to go and raise the money.
The kids kept crying because they could see I was about to leave them behind.
Before the father was allowed to leave the forest, he wanted to hug his sons as they wept, but the kidnappers wouldn't let him.
I told them goodbye. I warned them not to try and escape and to trust that I will go and do whatever it takes to find the money and bring them home.
Hello.
This is the voice of the kidnap leader, recorded by the family. First, a greeting of peace in Arabic, and then in their native Hausa, the torment. The kidnappers would call the father almost every day for months. Sometimes his children were beaten, then put on the phone so he could hear them scream. By the end of January, the father had sold virtually everything valuable that he owned, his farm and the bags of ginger he'd grown to sell at the market. But when he delivered the ransom, the kidnappers only released 2 of his sons, then increased their demands. He would also need to buy motorbikes worth around $1,500, or they'd kill the remaining 2 boys. In February, he delivered the bikes, but the kidnappers only released the 3rd son and kept hold of the 4th, the youngest. In this call made at the end of February, the kidnap leader made fresh demands for bags of rice and beans, even a box of soda, and for mobile phones, walkie-talkies, and drugs. Almost 1,000 people have been kidnapped in Nigeria this year alone. The attacks have spiraled during one of the worst periods of economic decline in Nigeria for decades. The call to prayer echoes through the blazing afternoon heat. It's March at the beginning of Ramadan in Buari town. But for so many families, this sacred period is heavy with anguish and desperation. At the family home, we meet the eldest son who has just been released. He sits in a beige-colored kaftan with bright patterns and describes his last moments in captivity. We've used someone else to voice what he told us in order to protect his identity.
They asked us to go and fetch water, so we stood next to the river.
His abductors walked him, his younger brother, and 3 other kidnapped young men and boys to a river. They pulled one of the boys aside and shot him.
The boy was telling him, sorry, they will bring your money. They will bring your motorcycle with the phones and boots. The boy was telling him, sorry, sorry.
But they shot the boy again. Then the kidnappers ordered the other boys to dig a grave for him in the sandy soil by the water. Then with a final shot, the kidnappers killed him. Before the eldest son was released, the kidnappers told him to tell his parents what he'd seen.
I should tell my parents if they don't bring the items that they asked my dad to bring. They will take him to the river and kill him there. And I came back home crying, crying, crying.
The youngest brother, the 12-year-old, finally came home earlier this month. He managed to escape before the family could raise the 3rd ransom demand. This was what the family had prayed for. All their children were finally back home. But their freedom has come at a cost. His children are not the same boys they were when they were taken. They're suspicious of everyone around them because they believe someone close to the family worked with the kidnappers who knew intimate things about their lives.
It has reached a stage that you don't even know who to trust because you don't know who is your enemy and who is not.
And the threat from the kidnappers still feels imminent. The last son escaped, denying the kidnappers their final ransom. So they still call the family and threaten to strike again.
I'm not really free. This morning, I saw a call from a new number. As I picked the call, I discovered that it was him, the kidnapper. Right now, we are very scared.
Emmanuel Akimotu, NPR News, Abuja.
Can I hear him? Can I hear him, sir? our country. Anyway, I no get time. I don't say my play now these things where they happen. My dear people, no be better story. Oh. And on a sadder news, as soon as hear them, we too will hear them. Our very own Junior Pope, then born him as John Paul Odomwood. I hope so I call him right. Also known as Junior Pope, and don't die. When I hear the story, so I don't want to dig into it, but he's so rest in peace. But I dey pray may we not die careless deaths. You know, we can point fingers everywhere we want to point, but it is sad. Where do we begin from? Say, person go shoot movie according to them. You enter boats, no life jackets. That right there is carelessness. Number two, you shoot a movie. Is there any medical staff on board? In the video I watched, where in the talk on top water, tell the captain, calm down, calm down. Captain said, no wear life jackets. Now which kind of country we there so? For how much? On top River Niger? I don't want talk saying make call in the talk say I be the only beginning go raising children. But our utterances on top water million winter. In other words, water gets here. Even when you're there for plane, up for air, they get spirits there. It get here. Even for land gets here. It get waiting with the talk. Let us be careful. It don't happen, it don't happen. Or should I talk about as them bring they say can go shrine of, in the milli, they go resuscitate him. He was resuscitated according to them, but they needed oxygen. Make the shrine next time for future purposes. Make the shrine get oxygen tank for such issues in the future. But they can't carry and go hospitals. According to them, hospitals not get oxygen tank. If a hospital not get oxygen tank, then the next thing where they come to my mind, we say, hospital for Savannah mortuary. Again, I just they talk, I don't have all the facts and stories. Because when story pass from one year to another year, we hear filters. But whatever it is, may his soul rest in perfect peace. Until we see again, until we meet again, making sure they rest in perfect peace. We send our love, our light to his 3 children and the wife and the family. We're gonna give them privacy, make them mourn their loss. Not too long ago, I met you when I got come out. Every year we are losing someone in the movie industry. I have no answers, but only our creator. We don't bring us come this life, get answers. Furthermore, Dr. Betta Edu, she's still the humanitarian minister but suspended. CNN and BBC carry him say the 30 billion where abscond, 30 billion where waka come out from humanitarian building, they don't find them. Well, thank you to EFCC for doing the right thing. She's still suspended, we can only ask for mercy. Mercy in the sense that she goes on she has a retrospect. 6 months in power and you took 30 billion. If we can't leave you for 4 years, how much you go take? Well, make every man, we get conscience. Every man and woman we get conscience. When we look our conscience when we do things. Furthermore, Eid al-Fitr, celebration for Muslims. the Sultan of Sokoto. So may we pray for our leaders. Oga Sultan, we don't want to pray for our leaders. I don't want to pray for leaders of Nigeria. I want them out of power because they are killing their citizens. Furthermore, I just want to say, let's take it easy, one step at a time. Everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. The Senegalese president has been sworn in. Congratulations to him. A very young, sharp man. Put him down in name. Bassirou Faye. He has been sworn in as the Senegalese president. Congratulations. The African, obviously, Union was urging Senegal to reconsider their decision to postpone the election, but obviously that has failed now because he's now sworn in. There's still an ongoing civil war in Sudan, which is causing widespread famine. I hope that the entire African Union can come to their aid. Well, now, the Nigerian government has advised citizens in South Africa to be cautious due to rising tensions before a soccer match. Every day careful. This life. Not only one life, oh. I never see person who don't die, come back, come tell me as the other side be. Because the way these politicians, they embezzle, they destroy the country, left, right, and center. It be like say one of them for their cabal, they don't die, go wherever they go, come back. Don't tell them say, oh boy, nothing there, if like say that side they shine, no, going at the thief, nothing, forget the judgment, forget the Bible. It is well. Well, the Cross River Education Commissioner has said that no WAEC list was padded in Cross River. Everything padded. Senatorial budget padded. Okay. My dear people, I've said all I have to say for the day. This is your one and only show, the show Wey No Get Name, and I'm your host, Person Wey No Get Name, aka Eziafa. Eziafa Kego, I can't be bribed. And Orukogidi, strong name, strong man. My dear people, this life, may be wise or may be careful. But I'll leave you with my quote as usual, like I always do, you know. Stay busy so you don't have time to be sad. You have yourself, and yourself is always enough. Well, name something incredibly popular that you just don't find interesting at all. May I answer that one? Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I don't find him interesting at all. He's popular. The Nigerian government is popular, but they're not interested. They're destroying the nation, and we must move forward. We must rise. Until we see again, take care. Be safe. Bye, yo.